let's take this wooden cutout and turn it into the most gorgeous vintage looking bauble. It's going to have a glassy finish. It's going to have those fine line crackles to make it really look like it's back from that period of time, you know, like your grandmother's china. We're going to take a white chalk paint to start off with and give it a nice coat, and then we're going to dry that up quickly. Now we're going to take some Mod Podge matte, and I'm going to put a generous coat. It's not as thin of a coat as I do for painting. It's a little bit on the thicker side. And just lay it down evenly over the whole wooden surface. Make sure you get right to the edges on it though, okay? You'd hate for the edges to peel up. So once you've got that on there really nicely, we want to make sure this is wrinkle free, so we're going to dry up this layer as well. Now once that's dry, you're going to want to take a napkin. Now I've already used one of the squares off this napkin. I think it was a couple years ago, but I'm bad for saving scraps. Actually, I should say I'm good for saving scraps because now I get to make a beautiful ornament out of this as well. So I like to just rub my fingers around at the corner and it usually pops the layers apart. If not, you could always, some people like to do the lick and stick, I call it, where you lick your thumb, tap your thumb and finger together and then touch the napkin and that can pull it apart. Or some people like to do some tape, but usually rubbing it together usually works pretty good. So I'm just going to take that one ply. That's the layer that has the pretty decor on it. The other layers I toss aside and use those for other projects, for cleaning up messes, etc. And I'm going to put parchment paper on top and I'm going to give this a little pressing. So this is a craft iron. It has no water in it, so there's no steam. And I'm just going to heat it up. Get it all nice and smooth. We'll have no wrinkles. You'll just want to check your edges and make sure they're down really well. Sometimes you can just feel the difference there, and sometimes you'll need to just kind of flick up the edges of the napkin. And if it's not down perfectly, you can always go back and do another little touch-up like I did. And now I'm going to take my sander. For those of you that don't know what this sander is, it is called the Gator, G-A-T-O-R. And I got it off of Amazon. I can give you the link in the description below. I love this sander, but if you don't have one, no worries. You can still use a piece of sanding paper. A sanding block would probably be hard to get into all these little nooks and crannies on this, but you could also use a nail file. And it comes away so beautifully. Then I'm going to take a paintbrush and just poke a hole in the top. And I'm going to tidy up all my edges. See, it's looking like a vintage ornament already. Now I'm going to leave it just like this and I'm going to flip it over. We're going to seal that up after. I just want to get my paint down on the other side and get my napkin on this side as well. If I was doing this and not putting it in a video, I probably would do one side in total and then I would let it sit and thoroughly dry overnight before I flipped it over and did the other side. But I wanted to show you that it was done on both sides. Also this way, I want to make sure that you know, be very careful. See how it just moved there? You would hate for any of that paint that's on the counter to get on that napkin on the other side. I'm just saying, you got to be so careful at this stage. It didn't cause any problems for me, but I'd hate for someone to say, well, this is how Angie did it in the video. So I'm going to dry that up really well because remember that napkin is not sealed on the other side, so if it sat down even on a damp surface, that could be a hot mess. The only difference that I'm doing on this side is I am going to use my actual favorite decoupage medium, and it comes from TH Decor, and it's just called decoupage glue. That's the stuff right there. The Mod Podge is great. I swore I would never change, but I really, really like the feel of when this slides on. It's not like painting on a glue. It's just so silky smooth. So now that we've got that all ironed on again, we're just going to quickly sand that back again. Now, I didn't cover this the last time that we were sanding, but if you're not used to sanding back your edges, you're going to want to make sure that you go in on an angle and never drag it up and down, so it's only hitting the board on the down motion. On the up motion, I'm not rubbing it against the surface at all, because sometimes that could tear your napkin. And now we're going to do a top coat. So you could seal this with the decoupage varnish, or you could use your Mod Podge. I'm just going to skip ahead and I'm going to throw some Duraclear down on this. So this is the Duraclear gloss. We'll get this side done first, and then we will dry that up really quickly. And then we're going to do another quick coat over here. And I've picked up the pace because we're getting to the good stuff, where this ball or bauble is going to really shine. So let's dry this up. And now I am putting on step 1 of the fine line crackle. So have you tried fine line crackle? I'd love to hear in the comments how many of you have tried fine line crackle from Pentart. I used to do crackle with the Elmer's glue or with the Mod Podge, and I thought it was pretty awesome. But man, when I got my hands on the fine line crackle, that was a game changer. So step 1 goes on with the same consistency pretty much as a Mod Podge. Step 2 is a little bit thinner, and it's kind of like an amber color, and you're going to put that over top. Now make sure that your paintbrushes are very clean and very, very dry. And we're going to put a nice even coat on. It doesn't have to be thick. And then we're going to dry this layer up as well. And this is the layer that the crackling starts to happen. So you can let this just air dry. That is what's recommended, but of course I don't have patience and I use a dryer. But if you listen quietly while it's drying, you can start to actually hear it cracking. It's amazing. And then I'm going to take some metallic wax. I'm going in with gold. And I like to rub it with a soft bristle, very high density bristles, like it's very packed in there, but they're very, very soft. I'll drop the link for those in the description as well. And I like to rub it on the lid first, just to make sure there's no lumps and chunks or anything like that in the wax, but typically this wax is so smooth. And then you're just gonna rub it back, but you can see already when I put that on, or even like look at the lid, how shiny that is. Shiny and gorgeous that is. But we're not done yet. We're gonna do the other side as well. Now I'm gonna speed up the process here on the other side because we're just doing the exact same thing. So that was step 1. This is step 2. Get a nice even coat on there. We're going to dry that one up, and then we'll do that waxing again. The waxing is my favorite part. Can you see how gorgeous that is? So this next step, what I'm doing is I am taking tacky when dry paste, and I'm going to add some foil or gold leafing around the edges. This one happens to be foil, but it could be done with gold leafing as well. Just I find gold leafing to be a little messy. So pull it out of the container. You can see I've used this one before. So you're just looking for spots on your sheet that, you know, are still bright gold or whatever color you're going for. And you're gonna lie it down on that paste after it's been dried and just lightly rub it in. Now you could take a wooden stir stick or a burnishing tool, I believe it's called. Sometimes there's even a stick that comes in the tube. But for these round areas, I find I can just do it with my finger. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. And look at that. Oh, it's so gorgeous. So I'm just going to go all around the edges and do that. And then the last thing to do after that is just to put the final coat on, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But look how easy it goes on, really. Like, I know I'm speeding it up here, but you're just applying some paste. Just a thin coat of it. Again, it's kind of, well, it's a little thicker than Mod Podge, I'd say. And then you're going to dry that up. And then you apply the foil. Apparently, I skipped that step somehow. I must have lost some footage there. And now I'm going to go in for the top coat. Now, this is the solvent-based top coat. You have to make sure it's a solvent-based. I have two different ones. So this is kind of like the amber one. I don't know if it's called an antique one, but that's what I would call it. And then the other one that I have is just a clear gloss. They also have a matte finished one. But my thoughts is, if I'm doing fine line crackle, I want it to look like porcelain and I want it to have that shine. So I'll do 2 coats of this solvent-based top coat, and this piece will be done. It's absolutely stunning. And let me tell you, the camera is not picking up how shiny and gorgeous this really is. This coating here that I'm putting on, when it is dry, it's like glass. It is so pretty. So you can see right here the way the light's shining on it, that you can kind of see the brush strokes going in this direction. My second coat, I will go from the top to the bottom, so where the hole is in the ornament until the bottom of the bauble, I'll go in that direction, and then there won't be any streaks or any brush lines. It's pretty much self-leveling anyways, but it is stunning. Here's some finished pictures for you to look at. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you subscribe. We are always creating something fun and beautiful here. You never know what it's going to be. Thanks for watching.